just came, the container is getting filled. It's the whole shebang. The whole house is a mess. What are you gonna do? I hate moving in general, as all of us do,
Who does?
but just just
And then what are you guys doing with your place?
we're renting
You're
it.
renting it out.
Yeah.
And do you have a renter already?
We do, yeah. And the smartest choice was two things. One, just convincing my wife we needed a property manager. We're not
Smart,
smart,
so you're not dealing with
right?
it.
That's money you can spend. And then two was
Yes.
refinancing during 2020, right, when the rates were low.
That's largely
Now,
by the tax.
anything I rent for is like gravy.
Branches that are fully then funded now.
Into a fix,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, like that.
exactly. Exactly.
2020 was it? We bought our place.
So
we,
Something to be
we-
proud
At
of.
the time.
absolutely.
yeah, I got a 2020. I mean, we did.
Please do so at the sign-in sheets at either entrance.
Yeah.
If you cannot come down,
Rates
Melissa,
were
would you like us to bring the mic up to you? I know you usually.
Crazy.
If anyone needs us to bring the mic up to them, please just let me know beforehand, so that we can accommodate you, because we're on a really tight time crunch today with today's meeting. So I just wanted to let everyone know.
We have quorum yet?
And I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let me just check, 7, 8. I need one more.
Okay, great.
I think Jeff was just
I
part.
thought that's
Eight.
Jonathan. Oh,
Eight is it.
hi, Jonathan.
What's that?
How are you?
Eight is quorum.
9. I usually do 9. Is 8?
Yeah,
1, 2,
15.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you. Cheryl just joined.
Okay.
Okay.
We're good? Okay, good.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome to the annual meeting of the Board of Trustees. And excited to have everyone here today. This is always a special occasion, a chance to review what we've done over the last year and think ahead as we consider a lot of different new initiatives, but especially in light of the new strategic plan. With that, I'll call this meeting to order and acknowledge our BPL opening statement. The trustees of the Boston Public Library reaffirm our commitment to racial equity and to principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion more broadly. The library is formally committed to becoming an anti-racist organization in response to systemic racism, inequity, and injustice prevalent in our society. We acknowledge also that the Boston Public Library's Central Library stands on land that was once a water-based ecosystem providing sustenance for the indigenous Massachusetts people and is a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nation. We're committed to land acknowledgements for all locations at which we operate. We reaffirm this commitment to set the context for our planning, deliberations, and public engagement so that they take place from the spirit of welcome and respect found in our motto, free to all. Thank you.
Just want to let everyone know, if you are joining us via Zoom, please sign up for public comment via the chat feature. We will be closing the chat at 9 a.m. due to time limits for public comment today. If you are joining us here live in person, please sign up in the back of the room. We will take you in the order you are received, and you have up to 2 minutes. Just want to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded for administrative purposes. And all you, if you'd like me to take roll call, I'm happy to.
Roll call. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, I just need my paperwork here, right? Here we go. Okay. Arana Ortiz, present. I see you right there.
Yes, walking right in.
Bal? Berman?
Here.
I just want to also let you know that we have 3 trustees that will be joining us via Zoom. Cheryl Cronin, Joe Berman, as well as John Heiler. Canales?
Here.
Cronin?
Here.
Heiler? He has not joined yet. I will certainly acknowledge for the record when he does join. Hawkins? Ms. Kim will be absent. Levine?
Present.
Lou?
Present.
Masso?
Here.
Ole Iwola? Here. Oh, thank you. I was going to say she's going to be joining us late. Thank you, Portia. Rush will also be joining us a little late. I will acknowledge him when he arrives. Westra? Here. And Wooten. We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. Just logistics and housekeeping. This annual meeting will be split into 2, actually. We'll be having an administrative meeting, and second, we will be having a corporation meeting as we discuss officer elections to follow. I would like to, at this point, call for a review and approval of the meeting minutes of March 18th, 2025. Folks had a chance to review it. Just some highlights from it, where we talked about the Chinatown purchase. We talked about OpenAI, and we talked a little bit about our finance. We had reports from our Finance and Audit Committee. Do I hear an approval, a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Second? Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any dissents?
I just need to acknowledge the people that join us. I need to get their votes separately, the ones that are on Zoom, that's all.
Great.
So Cheryl and Joe, can you let me know are you in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes.
I am too. Yes. Yes.
So moved.
Great. With that, then we will move on to the next agenda item as we discuss Mary Wu's FY26 recommended operation and capital budgets executive summary. With that, I'll turn things over to Evelyn Ortiz.
All right. Good morning. I'm going to turn it over to Emily. So there was a presentation at the Ways and Means. It's recorded. Anybody who wants to see it in very much detail, it's available. Happy to provide the link. But I'm going to pass it over in the interest of time to Emily so she can present the budget to be approved.
Thank you very much. Good morning, trustees. Back in November, we did a deeper dive into the overall budget, the different components, and the process for the budget as well. Today, we're going to get into the mayor's recommended budget for FY26.
Emily, can you get closer?
Apologies. Since we last met, the mayor did announce her recommended budget. As Evelyn just said, we participated earlier this month in the city council hearing as well, and had the opportunity to sit with the Finance and Audit Committee last week. What you're seeing right here is a summary slide of the mayor's recommended budget. Before I get into really the meat of the reduction, I want to clarify a couple of points here. One in particular, the operating headcount, the majority of the reduction here is due to the way that part-timers were counted as full-time employees. We had noticed in our analysis this year that a number of the part-timers were listed as 1.0s when they actually should be 0.33. So you're seeing this 37 headcount reduction is really just an adjustment in the way that we calculate our staff. I also want to point out that this is only the city operating headcount. So there's an additional about 65 employees that are funded from external funds. This slide here is showing any adjustment that was made for FY26. The permanent employees, these are general wage increases for our salary of our staff on site right now. Utilities, the transportation of persons, this really doesn't impact the library's overall budget. These are things that are centrally budgeted. The MBTA, the transportation used to live with the library, they're moving it over. Where we're seeing the largest decreases, the contracted services, the $471,000 decrease is actually due to an investment item that we received in this year's budget, FY25. So it looks like a reduction, but we knew all along that this was a one-time investment that they were providing to the library. So the larger impact is on the miscellaneous supplies and materials. This essentially is our book line, so how the library purchases books every year. We have had some really helpful conversations with our colleagues over at the budget office, and as the year progresses, they're going to be working with us to make sure that we're able to hit our needs that we have, both for materials as well as our state aid funding requirements. Next up, this is a recommended capital budget. Alphabetical has nothing to do with the schedule of when these projects are happening, but I do want to point out the $283 million recommendation for the next 5 years is actually a 31% increase over last year, so this is huge, and it's allowing us to activate into all of the neighborhoods that the library serves as well. Lastly, this is budgeted analysis of the external funds. Couple of things to point out, recommended, appropriated, these are just estimates, projections of what we plan to spend. It has nothing to do with how much is actually spent, how much is raised, how much we take in from trust funds. This is simply how much we are estimating. The one point that I do want to raise here as well, particularly around the Boston Public Library Fund and the affiliates, it doesn't include non-personnel items yet, so we'll add those in as the budget year gets closer. Benefits, non-personnel pieces, they need to be added in, so we're looking at probably around like a $500,000 $500,000 or $600,000 increase, particularly on those lines.
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Absolutely.
So I was struck by the fact that those numbers for the fund, the 1 million, and the affiliates, the 889,000 are so much lower than the historical numbers. Is that because it's not an apples to apples comparison? I'm not sure if I quite understand.
You're exactly right. So the FY23 and FY24 here are showing the actual spend. So the amount of money that the library spent from those categories. FY25 is a snapshot from the beginning of last year. We don't change that appropriated number until it becomes an actual. And the recommendation, again, it's just a projection. Those numbers are going to increase. It's just a projection based on what we thought back in December might be a possible spend total. And again, the FY26 is significantly lower because the non-personnel items haven't been added in yet.
In real terms, both of those numbers will at least equal, if not exceed, the FY24 appropriated number once it's fully reconciled.
That's helpful. Thank you.
And again, it's not dollars raised, it's dollars spent. So both, all of the affiliates have really been raising a significant amount of money for the library. Any questions?
Do I move on to the next?
So net, Emily, if we take this slide and combine it with the cities, right? So a minus 600K or so budget decrease? I saw minus 500 and I see minus 100 here. That's
Exactly.
Right,
We
so
know
that-
that we have some adjustments to make on the external side, so it is going to balance out a little bit better. And we have the ability on the external funds, there is additional money there. So if there are areas that we need to use some of our trust funds or use some of our unrestricted funds, we'll be able to do so. The projections that we put in are submitted prior to the mayor's recommended budget coming out, so we haven't had a chance to reconcile ourselves against that yet.
Yeah, I think the takeaways should be that the goal overall, both with the city's budget and the library's budget, is at least to reach a maintenance level across the board, i.e. to fund at next year's levels what was required to do what we did this year. Now, the one piece of softness in the delta in the city's budget, that $300,000 in collections, that is currently a cut. We have a verbal commitment that we will work on that throughout the year. So that's kind of one thing that I would want us to continue to pay attention to and make sure that we can backstop that with whether it's city funds or trustee funds or others. With respect to the state funding sources, the state budget is currently making its way through the Senate, and that remains to be seen. Right now, the library lines that support the BPL directly are either flat or seeing a small increase, and that's reflected in these projections right now. And I'll get to this in my report, but we are aware that the loss of IMLS funding to the State Mass Board of Library Commissioners is a real cut, and it is quite likely that will reduce services across the other library lines. So while our line may not go down, some of the statewide support will have to come from somewhere. We will have to deal with that in real time as it materializes. We are in dialogue with the associates about maintenance level funding for the positions that they support. I don't have any lack of confidence on that front. And honestly, it's the BPL fund that is the success story among this entire universe, given the number of grants that have been received or are in the final stages of being approved. So by the end of this budgeting period, I expect the total budget will be up, but I want to really pay attention to the city softness around the collections budget and the potential for state decrease.
Also, what I want to add, in the Finance and Audit Committee, we've spoken to Emily and Sean to do some modeling. So we're expecting a reduction of funds, in the upcoming years. And so we have in action to do that as well. So more to come on that.
For the record, I just want to acknowledge that Trustee Wooten has joined as well as Jay, can you please upgrade John Heiler? He is on the call, listed, oh, never mind, see, you did, thank you. John Heiler is on the call, I just want everyone to know.
Additional questions?
Do we call for a vote?
Do you have
I
to
know
do
it's
the
kind of
capital
order,
budget?
out of order.
Did you do the capital budget?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask for one more question, then clarifying? Just, one of the pieces as we think about sort of maintenance from year to year, right? The sort of the biggest change we've been talking about is the strategic plan implementation, right? And what would the investment be required for that? I guess, do we have placeholders baked into this budget where we've sort of taken money away from some other programs before, or if we need to invest this year, is that going to be raised through philanthropy? I guess, how have we been thinking about any investments?
I missed the first part, strategic plan implementation? Is that?
Just mainly, how do we think about investments for strategic plan implementation this year?
Sure. It's a conversation that we're having at the leadership level. We do, at the end of each fiscal year, take a look at our unrestricted funds and set aside some of that in areas that we know that we'll need funding sources for. Furniture, technology, security coverage, and the strategic plan has been one of those.
Sorry.
Do you want to call for a vote? All right, so if there's no any questions, I would like to call for a vote to approve the recommended operating and capital budget. So can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second? Second. Not everybody at the same time. All in favor?
Aye.
Those joining
Any
online?
abstentions? Any
Aye.
nays? All right, thank you so much. Motion
Cheryl-
passes.
Cheryl and Jeff, I need you to acknowledge that for the record.
Yes, aye.
Joe?
Aye. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yep.
Great, thank you very much. Excellent. And moving on to next agenda item, which we're calling trustee governance. With this, I'll turn things over to Jim Canales, but maybe I can just tee things up for a little bit. Since I came on as board chair, but certainly talking to each of the trustees along the way, have been hearing that the concept of board governance is always something so important for any board to be considering. Nothing's broken per se, but I think the question really is how can this board really work at sort of its most optimized levels and have the right structure and framework to ensure that we hold the role and responsibility of the Board of Trustees at its highest level. Some specifics, but Jim will get into, but are how do we think about ourselves vis-a-vis the city? How do we think about ourselves internally structured? And how do we move forward with some actionable recommendations as necessary? So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Jim, who has been incredibly gracious with his time and leading this task force.
And grateful too to be in front of everybody here today. So welcome everyone and good morning. Happy to give a quick update. And I think that the important framing for this update is that with the adoption of the strategic plan last year, I think it gave those of us on the board an opportunity to think about how we can better align the work of the board and the investments that we make as a board with the execution of that ambitious plan. So that was really the driver for taking a step back and thinking about how we function and the ways in which we could optimize that work going forward. We set up a small task force, a time-limited task force that included me and Ray, John Heiler, and Cheryl, as well as Cheryl Cronin, as well as one outside member who is not a board member, and that's Ron Dorsey, who may be known to some of you as the president of the Easter Bank Foundation and former chief of education for the city of Boston. David, of course, was integrally involved. We, in the work that we did, we reviewed the history of the board. We looked at bylaws, the articles of incorporation. There was an MOU that was created between the Boston Public Library and the city of Boston during Mayor Walsh's administration. So we looked at all of that just to ensure that we understood the history and the context. And essentially, we wanted to find ways to better align the work of the board with, again, the ambitions of the plan. And there are a couple of ideas that we have come up with in that context, and Ray's going to speak to them in more detail in a moment. But essentially, what we would like to do is propose that we revisit our committee structure to ensure that it is structured, that we are structuring our work at the committee level in a way that is focused on work that is enduring, that's long-term in nature, which is why you should have board committees, versus identifying ways where there might be a more task force approach to our work, where we identify a task that is time limited in nature, that is bounded, that is very focused, and that can be both started and completed within a relatively short period of time, such as the work of this governance task force. So we're hoping to blend those two approaches in a way that just make for both a more rational way for the way that the board functions and works and engages with the work of the library, and also ensures that we're using the talents and skills of our trustees in the most optimal way. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ray, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the committee ideas that are now in play.
Great. Thank you very much, Jim. And super grateful to the entire committee, but your leadership as well, too. Maybe a few follow-up points, but also just action items that came out of this. Jim did mention, or wanted to mention, the interaction with the city. Just want to make sure that everyone understood that lots of discussions with the city. We were able to talk with Chief of Staff, Tiffany Chu, and amongst others, and had a terrific conversation and the city was very much in support of the work that we're doing here. Secondly, part of the committee restructuring, I guess, what we would say, or use of the task force was really to be thinking about sort of the individual members of this board, and want to make sure that each individual was as engaged as they possibly could be, and making sure that the committees themselves had the right charter and purpose going forward, and everyone was additive and contributive to the work that they would be doing here. So with that in mind, we thought about the current committee structure and try to really streamline the committee structure and really understand that there were a number of committees that needed to continue on with its strong role for the purposes of a well-functioning board. There were other committees that also had incredible import, but could be put into a task force idea, which allowed a little bit more flexibility and without necessarily the regulations of a full committee structure. So happy to share this offline some more, but of course, when we think about the full board, we'll have a number of standing committees. That includes the executive committee. The previous governance and development committee, we split into two. I talked to John Haler and I talked to Jeff Hawkins about this, with the idea that these were really distinct purposes. And so what we did was create a governance and nominations committee separate from a development committee. John Haler will continue to lead the governance and nominations committee, and Jeff has agreed to take on leadership of the development committee. Thank you very much. Part of this discussion, just to continue on, just a moment on the governance piece, is really to make sure that the voice of the board, and specifically the Governance and Nominations Committee, could be heard loud and clear into the mayor's office. The last thing we wanted to do was consider this committee as a rubber stamp. This was a group that really wants to be engaged and has great ideas and can think about sort of the best individuals to continue on in our work, but also how we want to self-govern. So I mentioned the Executive Committee, the Governance and Nominations Committee, the Development Committee, of course, Finance and Audit Committee, led by Evelyn, and the Fellows and the Trust Committee, of course, will continue on. The McKim Restoration and the Special Collections Committee, certainly the McKim has been led by Navjeet. Very, very important. This is going to be a time-limited committee, so that's why it makes sense to be more of a task force. And it will be a long timeline, certainly, and very important and as we sort of ramp up. But that seemed to be something that didn't necessarily need a formal committee structure. Special Collections, I had talked to Joe Berman as well, too. Is he here? Yeah. Online, of course, that's right. And we discussed how the Special Collections might be in a better model as a task force. So these were some of the small changes. The idea moving forward where each of the committee leaders would reconsider their own charters and reconsider the population of their committee members going forward. So happy to take any questions. I'm sure if there's anything at this point, but this is
Hey, Ray, I think something that's really important for the board and public is that this was all done because this hasn't been updated in a long time, and the library, the city, the way things are done has changed and evolved over the last 20 years. And I think that was the whole goal here, how, as we as a board can be better at bringing the services of the library to the public, working with the city to do the best with the resources that we have, and then to get even more focused going forward to present an even deeper, more quality type of Boston Public Library for the city. And I think that was what the real goal was here, that I think should just be mentioned.
Just want to let everyone know that that is John Heiler. They can't see your faces online, just so everyone knows, so you need to identify who you are when you speak.
Okay, that was John Heiler. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And when the trustees speak, I got noted online, they cannot hear you, so make sure you're speaking into a microphone when you speak.
Was that okay, Ray? Could you hear me?
John, that was terrific, and
right.
absolutely. These seem like perhaps some smallish changes, but John, as you say, the most important the most important point here is how can we really optimize the services of the Boston Public Library on behalf of the residents of the city of Boston and beyond. So thank you for that comment. David, anything? The cold call.
No, just to acknowledge all of the members of all of the existing committees. Some have been active and some have been dormant for a while, and others we have we're sunsetting during this process. So just to extend on behalf of the library a thank you to everybody who's been part of that committee structure. Library looks forward to working with the chairs of each of these committees and task forces to structure the charters and any membership that makes sense to take a look at.
Thank you, David.
Okay. Also want to record, did I note that you weren't here, Lynn? I wasn't sure if I did for the record. Okay. Sorry.
Further thoughts? Yeah. Well, welcome additional color. I mean, individuals on this particular board have served on many other boards, and so we look forward to leveraging each of your own thoughts and considerations for what you've seen as best practices across multiple institutions. So with that, we'll close this agenda item and we'll move on to the President's report by David Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, trustees. And so let's start with another new addition to our team. We now have on board the first ever dedicated role to look at the data analytics of library service with a view towards programs evaluation and services evaluation. You'll get to meet him in due course once we have reports to talk about. Literally just started. This is Logan Hughes, who's sitting in the front row. I've now been in meetings where people have said, oh, well, that's a Logan solution. So I think we're all excited about having this resource to assist the whole staff in how to think from a quantitative and qualitative point of view about our work. We have many people who collect a lot of statistics. We have many reports that we file, but this role will give us the opportunity to be more intentional about what we're collecting, why, what does it tell us about who we're serving, and what data-driven decisions should be made as a result. Not every decision needs to be driven by data, but it is a very important part of our analysis and decision-making. So, Logan, welcome. In your report, you have an executive summary of the accomplishments and goals document. For the PowerPoint, we have moved this in the live version to an appendix. What we did this year, this is the report that is developed by our communications team for submission to City Council and the Budget Office. So this year, it's due in late March, early April, and this year what we did was we basically reverse engineered the structure of the report to utilize the categories of the strategic plan, as well as thinking about the city-related goals that stand out from the existing strategic plan. So I really want you to sort of appreciate all of the work behind that, the actual work done by our staff and the impact on our patrons. But in reality, from a reporting point of view, this is really a transition year as we move towards a cycle of strategic plan-driven accomplishments and goals.
Just want to record for the record that Senator Rush has joined.
For today's presentation, the core of it I want to actually focus on an update on the implementation planning work of the strategic plan. As you will recall, you voted on the strategic plan in December, and we all agreed that we would come back to you with how we are turning this into a reality and what the process is, understanding that we would probably take January to June to really do the bulk of this particular work. So our goal with the consultant that we hired, someone who was on the team during the strategic planning work with Gensler and Margaret Sullivan Studios, is to look at our capacity, ensure that we are communicating the plan and beginning the process of aligning our priorities. Next slide, please. So from a process timeline, the first 3 months of the year, we were onboarding the consultant. We use these principles in guiding our budget submission preparation. We have run a series of exercises at our all-staff day in March, which I'll also reference in my general report coming up. And then we took, you will recall, what are 86 individual initiatives and categorized them. So we're actually being very intentional and not trying to jump straight from, here's a goal, let's just set a task and go off and do it. In the April through June period, which we're in the middle of right now, we have also run a series of think tanks, which are staff-wide goals for people who have domain expertise and interest in a particular topic. We've done a leadership review, and now we're moving into the action planning last step of this phase. We also have a major RFP that we have put out in conjunction with the McKim planning work, and today we're doing a mini board update, and then we will have the ability to utilize our Logan solution to set some metrics and measurable outcomes associated with those. However, we also believe that this becomes an iterative process. We're not just done with this phase. We'll have enough done by June to know where we're going for year one. And so we have a cyclical process that will continue over the 5 years of the plan, where we are activating, continuing to iterate on things that are not yet live, and continuing to use the strategic plan. So if we move to the next slide, 86, 85 initiatives. I think one went missing somewhere. We're trying to find it. I think there's a duplicate or an undercount. But nonetheless, this exercise took all 86 initiatives, grouped them by their 4 outward-looking roles or their internal organizational readiness role, and then did 3 levels of analysis. Which of these initiatives are things that we already do but need refinement or some fine-tuning? Which things are entirely new work? And which of them we actually have questions and need to do research on to understand fully what is involved? And so you see in this chart a quick snapshot of how that broke out. So that's one piece of analysis that's been done, and there's obviously spreadsheets and documents to go along with all of this. Next slide, please. In terms of capacity work, we have some accomplishments to share. Some of these relate to hiring and filling of vacancies and tweaking of positions across our new programs and evaluation. Our HR, staff, and administrative support areas, which includes policy, social work, equity manager roles, continued fixing of vacancies and role definition within the operations and facilities area, structuring our social work team, our new Chief of Youth and Family Engagement. Some of this work we were already underway with, but we feel that with the hiring that has happened, and I'm pleased to report today that as of last week's analysis, we have now driven our active vacancy count below 40 full-time positions. You will know this has been a struggle since coming out of COVID, where we had 90 active full-time vacancies. And we, for a good year, seem to be iterating in the 50 to 60 range, and with a lot of help from hiring managers, staff involved in the process, Sarah and Judah in particular, colleagues at City Hall. We are driving this down. Now, this is not the total picture of vacancies. There are some additional part-timers and so on and so forth, but this is the index of how we measure success. So there are also, however, immediate challenges in our context. The static, volatile funding and budget environment. We've touched on that in the broader context that we're in. The strategic plan also called out explicitly that relative to our peers, the Boston Public Library is relatively under-resourced in terms of its capacity. And there are real hiring challenges, which we're making anyway. So that's kind of our context. So we've done work on the initiatives. We have a context, some good news, some challenges. And if we would move now to the next slide, this is what we propose our cyclical annual map will be. After we're done with this period in June, the first quarter of the fiscal year, we launch our Q1 work, but we will continue iterating on our think tank topics that need additional attention. The second quarter, October to December of the fiscal year, is about capacity check-ins, developing the fiscal year priorities and budget development for the year ahead. Q3, January to March, we propose as evaluating the work done, preparing budget submission for the following year. Q4, a review, analysis, and additional think tank work to continue iterating, whether it's on existing work or the next phase of work. The remaining piece of work to be done between now and the end of June is the tactical who's doing what explicitly and on what deadline. So that's the next piece in this initial phase of implementation planning. And so if we move to the drum roll, the next slide, here is the emerging year one priorities, which you'll be particularly interested in seeing based upon the initiatives, roles, goals within the strategic plan and the work done to date, largely coming out of the think tanks and working groups where staff were involved in filtering those. Some have come out of individual work areas across the organization. Yeah, we feel good about this particular list. These are attainable. So, for example, you will have known that the LEGO grant was announced last week, which is $1 million to our youth services program over 2 years, which is phenomenal work by the Boston Public Library Fund and our youth team led by Angela Vizaga. In the middle box on the left, you will see launching the 1,000 Books by Kindergarten and launching a new Hello Hatchlings program in conjunction with some of the funding and resources made available through that grant. Also continuing on the middle row, we have an example of the Welcoming Destination work, which is the Bridge to McKim work that will happen over the next 3 years. We will have a more detailed briefing for you on that at the June Executive Committee meeting. And then just skipping ahead to column 4 under community engagement. Civic engagement work, which I feel is particularly relevant to this time and one of the key initiatives in the strategic plan. We realized in our think tank we have to define this work and specify what does that really mean for BPL's work in the coming year. So just a few highlights, and you can see the alternatives there. So I'm going to pause on this part of my report to get some feedback or thoughts on where we are with implementation planning for the strategic plan and where we are going next between now and June, and specifically looking for opportunities for trustee engagement as these working priorities become clearer.
If I may, I think this was a really helpful overview, David, and thank you for focusing on the desire on the part of the trustees to be engaged in this process and engaged in the implementation. For me, one of the exciting things about the plan was always to foster a sense of excitement, wonder, interest on the part of the public, and I think we're doing that, but I think we also need to be really focused on the fact that there are 86 initiatives, only 35 of which I guess are new programs, and I would challenge us to be focused on communicating in a simpler, more targeted way what is new coming out of the plan that should excite the public. And so once we've come up with what is hopefully a handful of truly marquee initiatives, truly transformative, exciting things, how do we put in place the right benchmarking to ensure accountability? And then critically, how do we communicate those to the public? Because having a sheet that says we're doing 86 things is not going to excite people on an individual level. They need something that's tangible, and they need to say, okay, that's what's coming out of this plan. That's why it matters, and that's how it's going to change the way that we see the library. I'm not telling you anything that we haven't discussed before, but I do worry somewhat that we're not focusing sufficiently on distilling the plan into a small number of truly marquee initiatives that we want to highlight for the community.
And actually, you kind of stole my question, but yes. I was going to build, out of this page, if you only mention a couple, which ones are these are new? I think that, because I know that, like you mentioned, there's some that we're already doing that will continue, and then some that are new and some that we need to investigate. So out of all here, what is new, or if this is mostly continuing?
Right. I mean, I think this moment is a moment about seeing how the sausage is made in the machine. So we're showing you this in real time. So feedback right now on this allows us to come back with the type of detail that you are looking for in the finished plan. So I think that is helpful, both to be very specific and focus on marquee items, but also to understand what's new versus what is iteration. Right? Great.
Can you comment a little bit more on the Lego grant?
Sure, and I may actually call on Michael or Angela to come talk about the details. Michael, do you actually want to come down and talk a little bit about
You
this?
can even use the microphone.
these
On the,
there?
you can use the microphone on the left, Michael, if that's easier.
Sure, we're very excited about the LEGO grant. It's around creative play and activating for our youngest, for early literacy, our youngest patrons, but also partially for our tween age. So they'll be doing our 1,000 books before kindergarten, which is not a new program, but we're reinvigorating it. Our Hello Hatchlings is really an exciting program where we're developing kits, early literacy kits, that we'll send to, excuse me, I'm losing my breath, sorry, that we'll send to parents who have newborns throughout the city. And then we'll be doing author programs and creative writing workshops, and just a whole sort of host of programming that will go through the next 2 years based on this grant that we've received.
Sorry, Michael, can you expand on what each family with a newborn would get? I think that's a great idea. That sounds like a really interesting offering. And can you describe
Sounds like
what
a
that would look
story
like?
too, Kristen.
I'm sorry?
Sounds like a big story to tell.
It does. I completely agree with you.
Sure. So they'll receive a board book and also a listing of all of the resources that are provided to early literacy, about early literacy from the library, but also from many other organizations throughout the city. So we're doing it in conjunction, we're developing the kits, and then we're doing it in conjunction with the city. They're doing a whole early literacy campaign. So it's a lot of information, but it's also a board book and some other, a library card, multilingual library card, registration form to really encourage people to come back and engage with the early literacy program we're doing throughout the system.
Yeah, we'd be happy to share the full details of the proposal with the trustees so you can see the details, but it literally just got announced, and so as with other plans, we now have to execute and put the details.
Can we include a little Lego set of the BPL, like a central?
Yeah, another one I just like to mention.
That exists.
It's not for our capital plan to renovate our branches, but we are very much looking forward to this. Unprecedented, we're joining the Children's Museum and the Museum of Science, who are also who are already being funded by the LEGO Group. So kits, ambassadorial work, program services, system-wide, not just at Central, right? So all of the branches as well, which is real important. But we'll be happy to give you the full proposal so you can see. And I think there'll be wonderful opportunities to tell stories as this work unfolds. And I do like that's an example of new in this grid of 15.
More thoughts?
Yeah, I just have a quick clarifying question. Are trustees allowed or invited to attend the think tanks?
We can look at the upcoming topics for sure. And I think we would be interested in knowing of the topics that we are doing, which ones would be you'd be most interested in, and whether it's attending the actual think tank or getting a debrief before or after. I think we can talk about what makes most sense.
Thank you.
Portia, you bring up the topic of trustee engagement, which I know David touched upon, and then this meeting is not meant to be the one and only time of providing feedback on the implementation plan. One of the ideas that we thought about vis-a-vis in light of the governance work is, does this body of work really fit under sort of a strategic implementation task force, right? Doesn't have to be a formal committee, but again, time limited, very focused topic, and would love to garner volunteers. Please do share interest and email me, David, directly if you're interested in that type of work. I have one other maybe point and then certainly let you move on, David, if there's nothing else. You know, Christian, you know, what you bring up in terms of, you know, how do we sort of excite the public, right? I think taking a step back, one of the pieces here is beyond exciting the public, what's the right framework to be considering the priorities, right? And that may be the core one, but certainly what you've also identified here is capacity always, right? Is it easy? Is it hard? Impact factor, how do you measure that? Is it a volume issue? Is it number of people, right? I'll say it, right? Philanthropic community, right? How do we appeal to the right philanthropic community? So I think more important in some ways, or I don't want to say more important, but David, I think we encourage each other to consider sort of, let's understand the rubric as we think about the priorities, and or at least make that clear to everybody, right? And then using that rubric, you can sort of bring the different priorities across and then understand that. And I think you've done that in the beginning with this early piece, but identifying what are the different dimensions in total, and then also understanding which of those dimensions are more important, which of those dimensions might be less important as we consider how do we prioritize the rest of the priorities, the initiatives.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, this is an iterative evolutionary process right now, and how you distill the wonderful plan as written, when you involve the roles, goals, and the initiatives, you actually end up with 110 items that need to be distilled. And so the process of getting from that to where we are today, I think has been very engaging. For this next piece, it really is about getting down to, well, what are the real priorities among this? Which ones are the marquee items that Christian has talked about? While recognizing that in this economic and budgetary climate, achievable must be really, really central as well. But yes, I really think I'm hearing in your feedback the desire to ensure that when we're done with this phase, we can quickly communicate both to ourselves, to our staff, to the public, exactly what we're going on next.
Yeah, definitely, and it's both after we're done, but even before we start, right? What are the elements that help us decide what the priorities are? So we've talked about that.
Great.
Thank you.
Just a few operational updates that I want to call out, some of which we've touched on. Since we last met, we held our semi-annual, quasi-annual, I think it's on actually every 3 years schedule, all staff day here at Central, and we were able to bring the entire staff together for a day of professional development. So that was wonderful, and an investment in our staff and some training, some listening sessions. So we are doing the work of investing in what the strategic plan calls us to around building a staff culture and workplace development. This past Saturday, we had the opportunity to dedicate at the Jamaica Plain branch the children's room to the late children's librarian Barbara Rhodes. You all took a vote on approving that earlier in the year, and so we had the dedication ceremony with an incredible turnout of both community members, existing staff, former staff, presided over by the mayor and Councillor Weber. The national context within which we operate, with changes at the federal policy level, both from a budgetary and action point of view, remains deeply concerning to the Boston Public Library, to the library community, and our own staff in particular. So without reviewing the entirety of what has transpired, we have experienced since the start of the year the dismantling of the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the firing of the Librarian of Congress and a deputy, the gutting of the NEA, the NEH, the Department of Education, and AmeriCorps in particular. All of these organizations, either directly or indirectly, support the library and its partners, so the effects are real. We have done our work in being part of discussions and actions and advocacy within ALA, Urban Libraries Council, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, and the Mass Library Association, as well as the eBook Study Group. And so we'll continue to call out the actions where we can and where we see them, but that is the context in which we currently operate. And of course, at the local level, there is some fear and uncertainty being caused by immigration policy actions that are occurring, or rumored to be occurring even, across the city and the region. So that is the backdrop within which we are currently operating. It would be remiss to not call that out. And so, we will continue working with colleagues. We'll continue to try and support our staff. We'll continue measuring any budget implications that exist, and continuing to build the Boston Public Library as a strong organization based on the principles of free to all. There are a few other items that I will hold until the June Executive Committee meeting, as we were not fully prepared to present them today, and we have limited time. So with that is the part of my own report, and at this stage we'll move to the review and approval of the appropriate use policy, and Audrey Wynn is back with us to continue and complete the specific discussion that you had a briefing on at the Honan Alston meeting, and now hopefully see the final version of the policy for now, with an approval to take a vote on that.
Good morning. I'm Audrey. I'm the policy advisor.
Just make sure you talk to the mic.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm Jen Adams. I'm the Instruction and Mobile Services Coordinator, so I'm a kind of a public-facing staff member at the library.
So as David mentioned, this is a continuation of the presentation I gave, I believe, in March, and we took your feedback and your questions. But really, this is, we didn't change anything of the policy. We're now doing the internal work that is required to get this out to our staff and trained. So what we're going to talk about is pretty high level and just an overview. So in terms of updating all of our library policies, I see both goals for updating and opportunities, and they kind of speak directly to each other. It's really important that we have an institutional understanding of a lot of these policies, and in turn, that we train our staff in all of these policies as well. In addition to that, staff are the lifeblood of the library. It's important that the policies reflect their priorities, goals as well, and then also we can breathe that strategic plan language into our policies. So that's just a
quite a large overview of our goals. And then we started with the appropriate use policy. So as we're looking at this, is the policy aligned with our mission? Is it clear and easy to understand? Is it functional for staff? Is it easy to reference? Are there aspects of the policy that will be difficult for staff to enforce? How do we resolve those challenges? And then what are the supporting documents that need to be updated? Often, the policy is one piece of paper, but policy is implemented by people. There's much more than just the text of the policy. So as we worked to update the text of the policy itself, we focused a lot as well on the internal components that would go into that. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. So as somebody who not only works with public myself, but I also oversee members of both of our unions, I really saw this as not the end-all be-all, but one step in a greater effort to improve our policies for the sake of both patrons and staff. So I think this policy update really speaks to our efforts for equity through its goal of consistency. We want to make sure that across the system, whether you're at Central, whether you're North End, you're down in Hyde Park, that the policies are clear and being enforced consistently for every patron in order for us to be that welcoming destination that we say we want to be through the strategic plan. And that happens through a few different elements. It's both the update of the language and it's the involvement of staff from across the system in the development of this policy. So I've been with the library about 3 years, and this was the first kind of major policy update and change that I was here for. And I was excited to see that there was a lot of opportunity for both librarians, LAs, staff from across the system to participate directly in the committee meetings and through multiple other asynchronous methods as well, to make sure that we really were getting voices from everywhere on, what works, what, we don't want to fix what's not broken, and, what exactly we see the biggest friction with. And a lot of that was the consistency, which then leads to the updated training plan, I think, as well. So I'm really excited about the training plan part of it, and I know that's a lot of the work we're continuing to do.
Definitely. So this next slide is just a reminder of the process. It's been quite a long process, and that was very intentional. The library has not done something like this. Oh, sorry. The library has not done a process like this before, so we wanted it to be developed intentionally and meaningfully, and that it reflected the goals and the values of the library, but also the care and the excellence of our staff as well. So our first initial brainstorming started back in September. We finalized the policy in February, and the rest has been to start to develop that internal work that will help us train every employee at the BPL, as well as make this a regular mandatory part of our onboarding as we move into 2026. And this is my favorite slide. There are two of us up here, but this is a process that would not have happened without the collaborative efforts of many of our staff. This list represents the excellence and care of our staff. They care about the work they do, they care about our spaces, and this work doesn't happen without this very large list of people. So that's all for my presentation. I don't know if anyone has any questions or feedback.
The text of the policy is in the onboard portal and in your packet, should you wish to review. But I love the fact that this is a document that is now being proposed as something that is alive and governs how our expectations of patrons in our spaces are, but equally how it governs the response of the institution, whether it's one staff person, a process, everybody, in terms of governing how that behavior is or is not acceptable.
I have questions. I always have questions, sorry. So that was a very impressive slide. I can see why it was your favorite slide. I love the participation, and I saw people at our levels, so that's great. One of the questions I have for you, because this is like change management 101, right? And it requires repeat communication. So it's not just one-day training, to ensure compliance across the board. It's repeat. And so can you speak about that a little bit?
Sure. So as Jen mentioned, this is, I'm a metaphor person. This is a one piece of a 1,000-piece puzzle. In addition to, I'll just shout out Alyssa Kadillik, our training coordinator. We're working very closely together to develop a really robust training plan that would hit multiple points, multiple modes, as well as come up with a lot of other ways for staff to get check-ins or informal reminders. Our staff manage a lot of different concepts, behaviors. There's a lot that they're dealing with every day. So maybe you get trained on something in your first month, but you don't really encounter that challenge until month 3. So we also want to have quick reference guides, very clearly delineated best practices, multiple opportunities for staff to engage their own skills, hone those skills. So again, this is the start of something. It's a big organizational readiness piece, and there are a lot of other small points that will be added to this large one-time training. And as I think I mentioned this, it will become a mandatory training piece as well, and we'll also invite staff to rejoin those regular trainings if it's helpful as well.
And there are efforts underway to overhaul our entire onboarding, and I mean, you kind of said that, but there's a broader context to this work, which is also called for in the strategic plan.
Yes, it's a very in process. We are looking at a lot of different ways to, again, there's a wonderful weight and privilege to working at the BPL, and we want to make sure that staff are fully supported when they join, and that continues throughout. So there's much more to come in terms of the orientation and onboarding as well.
Just need you to take a vote.
Sure. So we say voted that the trustees of the Public Library of the City of Boston approve to accept the BPL appropriate use policy as presented. Do we hear a motion to, well, I think we just also moved. Second.
Can I make just a quick change? Can we remove approve to and just say the trustees accept the BPL appropriate use policy? It's a little less wordy.
Say that again?
So just the language of the resolution that the trustees of the Public Library of the City of Boston accept the BPL appropriate use policy as presented, just removing the words
I'd
approve to.
prefer to drop accept and keep approve, because I think
Okay,
the
fine.
trustees' duty is to approve policies.
Okay, that's fine.
Will do.
So with that addendum, move to have this accepted or approved?
Approved.
And
I'll take David's amendment to my amendment.
And I think I saw a second, and all in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Cheryl? John, thank you.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, trustees. Thank you, Audrey, and thank you, Jim, for being here. The action of the vote is a small action, but this uplifts the entirety of our readiness to serve the patrons and support our staff. So a very, very important work. And everybody who's on that long list of slides, thank you for your contributions to making that a success. And yes, it is ongoing. The next slide, I'm introducing 2 topics that will be the subject of a special meeting. And so this pertains to our building and room naming policies. The City of Boston has clarified its policies for naming municipal buildings citywide. The trustees have a policy that establishes criteria for the naming of rooms and buildings within the library system. We are not in exact sync, and so we will bring before you at the special meeting a specific revision to the library's library trustee policy that will align it with the city without losing any of the authority or criteria that are currently within it. Materially, it recognizes that a proposal for a name change may come through the City of Boston and the Mayor's office, as opposed to only through the trustees process. But we can discuss that at the special meeting. Specifically, a request has come through, generated by community members in Roxbury, to name the Roxbury branch for Sarah Ann Shaw. And so we want to just introduce that today and note that there is a special meeting of the trustees planned at which there will be community testimony and representation on that matter.
David, if I may, I just want to clarify that we have confirmed the date will be June 18th.
June 18th will be the date of the special trustees meeting on that topic. Thank you.
The 18th, Pamela?
Yes, I'll send out notice.
It would be the 8th, will be 8:30 again, just for our calendars?
Yes, 8:30 via Zoom.
Thank you. And that completes the president's report for today.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on to the next agenda item of Trustees Finance, back to Trustees Finance and Audit Committee. I yield to Evelyn Ortiz.
Just make sure you speak into the thing.
Take the thing for me. All right, so, so this is gonna be quick, right? So, the first, slate of contracts, they're just your regular maintenance contracts. All these contracts have been discussed and reviewed by the Finance and Audit Committee, and due to their large amounts, they're proposed here in front of the trustees for a vote. So I'm just gonna run through them really quickly. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, the fire alarm, and the elevator. And these are for the amounts of 8.9 million for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. The fire alarm, it's over 240,000 and 621 for the elevator contract. Any questions that you have for Jonathan on these contracts?
And all of those are 3-year contract terms.
No questions? Jonathan, see, you make this job easier. All right, so if there's no further questions, I would like to get a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. Any nays? Any abstentions?
Nope.
None.
And
Motion
just those
passes.
online, if you could just.
Yeah, John Heiler.
Yep.
Yes.
Joe Berman, yes.
Cheryl?
Yes. Yes.
So moved.
Anything you want to say, Jonathan? Nope. All right, we're good. Thank you so much. All right, and the next slate of contracts, these are our annual award contracts. And in front of you, you have various goods and services relating to critical repairs. The next one is the purchase of books. And these are just your regular annual contracts. The next one, it's the Fellows Athenaeum Trust. This is a yearly expenditure. It's based on a 3-year average from the Fellows Trust Fund, which is, and these funds are managed by the trust, the Fellows Athenaeum Trust Committee. And the purpose, just because we have a few new members on the board, the purpose of this advisory committee is to approve programming for Roxbury branch and for instructive purposes only. So we go through this RFP process every year where we approve various exciting programs for the branch, and this is the purpose of this fund. One of the things that I want to note for public record, we were benefiting of, the investments, and that we did very well, but we're expecting, as the market takes a turn, we expect this amount to be lower for the following year. And then the next is the delegation of certain contracts for approval for the Board of Trustees between May and September, just in case something comes up. Are there any questions on these contracts? Nope. All right. Motion to approve, please. Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Those online?
All
Aye.
right.
John Heiler.
Any abstentions, any nays? All right,
So moved.
motion passes. Thank you so much.
So moving on to next agenda item, proposed schedule of the trustees meetings for 25 to 26. You can see the meeting dates below. I guess in the interest, it does say it here, of consistency, it says approve the proposed schedule. So is there a motion to hold this to vote? Second?
Second.
And all in favor, aye for this vote?
Aye.
I'll
Any
make that
abs-
change.
Great.
Yes.
Thank
Berman,
you.
yes.
So passed.
Just a quick question. There were in the notes a review of delegation of certain contracts that might need approval between meetings. Did that have to be, did we act on that?
Do you mean this
D.
one? Number 4?
D, that was embedded in all of that?
That's number
Terrific.
4.
Okay,
Yep,
sorry about that.
delegate.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great. So moving on to any new business. Looking around here. Anything else? As a note of congratulations, I was just talking to Jim, who's taking over as chair of the Board of Trustees, is that right, for the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum today. So thank you very much. Great work. With that, moving on to public comment.
Wait, can we hold public comment until after we do the vote? David asked that we do this vote first.
Of course. So the vote for the
Just for the
executive
sake of
session. Great, no problems. So voting for an executive session, the purpose is to discuss the collective bargaining updates under exemption 2, and exemption 2, the executive session will be held at the conclusion of the second meeting. We will not reconvene in a public session at that point. So do I have a motion to approve?
I need to do a roll call vote for this.
Thank you.
Sorry. So I'll read your last names. Actually, do you want to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Arano Ortiz? Yes. Bal?
Yes.
Berman?
Yes.
Canales?
Yes?
Cronin?
Yes.
Heiler?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Levine?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Masso?
Yes.
Oleiwola?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Westra?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
So moved.
Great.
Okay,
Moving
now we'll
on.
move on to public comment.
Yep.
We have, I believe, only in person. We don't have any online that have signed up for public comment. So if I can read your name so I can line you up, just because I'm time short, and I'll bring the microphone up to you, Alyssa. I'll take you first, if that makes it easier, and then maybe someone from the staff can bring the microphone back down. It's going to be Alan Knight second, Bryce will go third, Puck will go fourth, Kathleen Monahan fifth, and then Jessica Walker sixth, and Ali Hahn last. Okay? You guys have my phone? Okay,
Great.
All
Thank
set.
you. Excuse me. Good morning. My name is Alyssa Cadillac. I'm president of AFSCME Local 1526. I'm pleased to announce that the library, the city, and the union did reach a tentative agreement last week. Thank you. We hope to ratify on June 4th, and I would like to invite trustees, if you would, we'll be here from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. If you would like to come talk candidly to any of our members who are dropping in to vote, which hopefully will be all of them, let me know. And you're welcome to stop by and chat with them. Couple of other things raised during the Ways and Means and the budget. We talked about headcount. Just a reminder, we do not have enough staff, and we really do need to pay attention to that. 8% of our management team, which makes 15% of our personnel cost of budgets. And so the contract you're gonna maybe hear a little bit about is not enough to support my members who have to live in the city of Boston. You heard talk about think tanks, which hopefully all staff will be part of going forward. This is the first I've heard of the term think tank with alignment with the strategic plan, so I look forward to hopefully hearing more about that. And certainly welcome and think the trustees should be part of that, because you are our governing board and body, and do, as you voted earlier, approve policy for us. And we need this. And one of the things talked about was, a marquee item. In the strategic plan, I still don't see anything that relates to staff improvement or staff welfare or staff benefits. We too need a marquee item to celebrate, for morale, for purposes, to go forward, to celebrate, to share with the public. We need to be just as invested as everybody else, and I still don't see that. So I asked the trustees to help us with that as well. And I think that's all I have for me today. So thank you again for your time, your commitment. It's great to have all of our trustees at a meeting, and I look forward to seeing what's coming in the coming year. And now I got to run to a hearing, so thank you.
Thank you. Alan Knight is next. Alan, you have 2 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Alan Knight. I'm the branch librarian of the Roxbury Branch Library. I want to thank you for giving me a few moments to come here and speak to you. First of all, I just want to say that I am really disappointed that the Roxbury Branch staff and all didn't know anything about this meeting was coming on, and part of the agenda would be the renaming of the Roxbury Branch. I'm sure there would have been more people of the public know, because I know a circulation went around to rename it though, but the branch has nothing to do with that. We didn't even know about it. The friends of the library weren't even aware of it, who was putting this out and what was going on, and didn't know about this agenda meeting. I found out about yesterday afternoon, and I was disappointed, both, and frustrated. Here it is, just coming out dealing with the Roxbury Library, and had no idea what was going on to even let the public know, because I'm sure some members, even though we didn't go into detail here, but some members of the public certainly would have shown up just to hear what was going on. And I hope in the future we have more communication as to what is going on, what is taking place, and we get the word out so everyone will know. Most of the time things happen and it's a done deal. You don't even know about those that's happening, and then people say, well, where were you? You weren't at the table. How can you show up to the meeting? But you hear about the meeting at the last minute. You may have other priorities going on, though, but advance notice would be appropriate and would be approved, and be happy something like that would happen, though. So this in the future can give us more time and a heads up as to what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Next, I have Bryce Healy. Okay, thank you, Bryce. Next, I have Puck Malamud.
Hi, my name is Jay Colbert. I'll be reading on behalf of Puck a statement that was prepared.
I'm sorry, Jake, what's your last name?
Colbert, J. Colbert,
Oh, sorry,
J-A-Y.
Colbert, thank you.
Yeah.
Jake, you have 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the time to speak. My public comment is specifically about the Professional Staff Association's Extended Sick Leave Fund, but also about the library's governance and decision-making structure more broadly. We position the library as a bastion of democracy. One of our strategic initiatives is about supporting civic engagement. But how can we claim to promote democracy in the city and the nation when our institution is now so undemocratic? Decision-making powers have been increasingly centralized away from the people with expertise in their work and their communities. And now the library and the city have overstepped in this area as well. Our contractually formed Extended Sick Leave Committee should have power to disperse sick time to members who need it without interference. Denying my colleague her extended sick time is not just cruel, inhumane, and frankly illegal, it is a symptom of a larger hypocrisy in the library's governance structure. Staff must have not just a voice, but actual decision-making power for the library to be a truly democratic institution. Returning control of our extended sick leave bank to the PSA would be a good first step. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Next, I have Kathleen Monahan.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen. I'm the Vice President of the Professional Staff Association, and I also work here at Central. So today you approved the budget that includes our maintenance costs, and it also included the contract for our elevator service and our fire alarms. And I wanted to make sure that you know the state of our elevators at Central currently. So our McKim elevators have been offline for months now due to the very long overdue fire alarm work. We do not have a timeline of when they will be coming back. We have received very few updates on specifics over what this looks like. That means for an entire city block, we have 3 working elevators for the public, except one of the 2 west elevators has been down since the beginning of April. And we have been told that as of yesterday, the part that is needed for that is still not here yet and may be coming next month. This leaves us with 2 elevators for an entire city block. Last week, both of those broke. On Monday, the glass elevator broke. When that happened, there was no way to get a patron who has accessibility needs from the entrance of Dartmouth to the entrance in Boylston without sending them outside and around. On Thursday, the remaining west elevator broke. When that was down, there was no access to this floor, and there was no access to our mezzanine floor. When you are looking in the future at budgets and contracts, I ask you to think carefully about what it means for us to be a welcoming destination, as we say in our plan, and making sure that we have the services and facilities to at least let people get through our building without having to do increasing workarounds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Next, I have Jessica Walker. I just want to add that I do have Alice Lee online. She did sign up, but in a weird way, and I didn't acknowledge it, so I apologize. Alice, you will go last after I get through the list in person, if that's okay.
Hi, my name is Jessica Walker. I had no intention of speaking. I just want to say thank you. That's what I wrote on that sheet. That's why I'm on there. And it's an extremely challenging position that each of you have as a board member. Equally challenging is to be a staff member. And the person who rides free is the patron who's just coming in and using all your resources. So I just want to say thank you. It's challenging work what you do. Sometimes a presentation doesn't give all of the explanation of the hard time and work that each of you has put into this. And obviously, on the front lines, I think that they should be like the future governors of America because they deal with all of the problems of the city on the front lines every day. Anyway, so I want to say thank you, and someone else can say something at the end.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks. Thank you.
Next, I have Ally. Ally, you have 2 minutes?
Thank you. Can I? This
Go
doesn't
right
count
ahead.
towards my
Yep.
2 minutes. It's too tall. Yeah. Oh, I do this a lot. And quite often, the shortest person in the room. Hello, my name is Ally Hahn. I am the president of the Professional Staff Association, and I'm also a children's librarian out at the Brighton branch. I'm here today to talk a little bit about my colleague, Barbara Rhodes. Barbara was a mentor to me for the many years I've been here at BPL. I was lucky enough when my branch closed for a renovation in 2018 that Barbara took me in for a week and taught me lots of things that she knows and treated me to a delicious taco lunch. I would just like to say that the communication around Barbara's passing has been pretty disrespectful to her memory. Staff were not informed until May 8th that there would be a naming ceremony for her at the branch on May 17th. That is a Saturday, which is skeleton staffing at most branches. We cannot call out. There are very few people who can come in and cover our shifts. So even though I was very close with Barbara, and I would have loved to be there to celebrate her, I could not be. This library has not closed a single day for a staff member who has died. It is unconscionable that the Jamaica Plains staff opened that building every single day, including the day that Barbara died, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. Central did not close on the Sunday of her funeral. We did not close on the Saturday of her naming ceremony, and it took months for a person in the Children and Youth Services meeting to acknowledge that Barbara was gone. So I will say thank you to Angela Vizaga, who did acknowledge the massive loss our community had experienced, and I wish so badly that leadership had let us know, had closed a library, or given us a chance to go and celebrate our colleague as well. At Barbara's funeral, there were bookmarks that you could take that had a handwritten quote from her that she had read in a book and liked so much she wrote down, and I keep it on my desk at home to remind me of why we do this work, and it is, what is the point of living if we do not use it to make life easier for other people? Thank you.
Thank you, Ally. And last, we have Alice Lee, who is joining us via Zoom. Jay, can you open her microphone for me?
Good morning, everyone.
Alice. Thank
Can
you,
you hear
Alice. You have 2 minutes.
Very good. I won't need them all. Thank you so much, everyone, for allowing me to speak today. I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you to President David Leonard. Some of you were at Literary Lights in April. Chairman Lou was there, and a number of others of you were able to be in attendance. And for those of you who were there, you had the really most amazing experience of having the president of our Boston Public Library system stand up in front of 400 plus people and give a very important and impassioned set of comments on the importance of libraries, special collections, what's happening in the country, and how as people who believe in literacy and learning, we need to stand up and support our libraries. His comments were so moving that he got a standing ovation. And I just want to say thank you. People in the room since then, starting that evening, started asking us, how do I get into the special collections? How do I find, the history of my people? How do I be more involved in the actual work of the library, as opposed to just taking out books that they want to read? So I want you to know he carried the flag for the Boston Public Library and for all libraries in an incredibly stellar way. And for all of you, I am just so incredibly proud of our president. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Alice. That concludes public comment.
Excellent. On that wonderful note, I will adjourn this first meeting as we move into our second corporate meeting. Thank you very much for attendance, everybody, and appreciate and grateful for your engagement.
Okay. We can move on to the second meeting. I just need to acknowledge that we still have roll call, and we have a quorum for the second meeting. So the first, oh, sorry, I'm talking, I'm
Just
reading my own
call this
notes.
calling this meeting to order. And we've got the roll call already taken care of. We don't have to
Yes.
redo it again. Great. The first item moves over to our Trustees Governance Committee. We just talked a bit about the governance, but I will pass on the meeting to John Haler.
John, are you still on? I know that he had to do something with the governor of Rhode Island today, so I'm not sure if he's
Yes,
still on.
I
Oh, he
am.
is,
Hold
he is.
on.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And so anyhow, apologies, everyone. But just to give you an update on, as you are aware, there are 5 trustees whose terms expired on May 1st. And as of today, and when we had our meeting on Friday, May 16th, Mayor Wu has not yet finalized those appointments. And per our bylaws, a trustee may serve in a holdover tenure until their successor is appointed. All 5 trustees that terms were expiring have agreed to serve in this interim phase until a mayoral determination has been made. And this includes the names you see here on the chart for the reappointment of the trustees. Najib Ball, Joe Berman, Cheryl Cronin, Senator Mike Rush, and Christian Westra. And so I just want to say thank you to them. And thanks for everyone helping through this process. And I think it's just something that we wanted to make you aware of. The important nomination as well is nomination of the officers. The Governance Committee has voted to recommend the following slate of officers for the term of 1 year. Ray Liu, Chair, Evelyn Arana Ortiz, Vice Chair, and of course, Pamela Carver as Clerk. And what I'd like to do is make a motion to approve this slate of officers as presented. Can I get a motion on that? Or, hey, before we vote, Ray, do we want to have any discussion here? Does anybody have any questions they do have before we vote?
I was just going to open up for discussion, but also just
Yeah,
on
thanks.
on a personal note, I think folks understand that I'll be taking a sabbatical, so I'll be out of the country in Singapore as of in 10 days or so. So I am honored to continue serving as chair in a remote fashion, but we've also made very clear recommendations to the mayor and in discussion with the governance committee as well too, that this position in particular needs an in-person individual to be chair. So we are in discussion / awaiting recommendations from the mayor's office as to how do we proceed with that. Open up for any other discussion.
Okay,
Right.
I think you just need to take a motion to approve the slate.
Love the motion to the nomination of the officers.
Anyone
Second.
second? Thank you.
There's a delay.
All in favor?
Yes. Do we need a roll call
Yes.
on this, Pam?
Any nays?
Need a roll call?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I just need you to acknowledge online that you
Yes.
voted.
John Heiler, yes.
Joe Berman, yes.
And Cheryl?
She had to drop.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, she dropped it right now. She dropped at 10 o'clock. So moved.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And hey, Ray, thank you. Seriously, for doing this and continuing. And to the trustees, this is an important aspect and there's a lot going on at the city. And just, Ray, thanks for doing this and continuing.
Honor of my professional life, as I've mentioned, and thank you for your leadership with the governance committee, as we discussed. So next item, bit of housekeeping here. Annually, we vote. We have these enabling votes. This can be voted as a slate, and there are 6 items. Just briefly, before calling for a motion to vote here, to go over those items. The first is an enabling vote for various leaders of the BPL, including President David Leonard, as an enabling vote for the signing of payrolls. The second item is an enabling vote for the signing of contracts by various members of the BPL leadership. The third is enabling vote for the acceptance on behalf of the corporation, gifts, payments made in recognition of special services rendered and payments received and prints executed. Again, these are enabling votes for the leadership of the BPL. I believe I'm on number 4 here, enabling vote for the acceptance of behalf of the corporation of gifts to be added to funds that are already established in the investment account. Number 5 would be an enabling vote for the distribution of income, and number 6, an enabling vote on trust funds. We'll pause for any discussion, questions around this slate of enabling votes. No discussion, then do I hear a motion to approve? Yep. Second?
Second.
Great. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Great.
And Joe and John online, can I just get your vote?
Yes, for John Heiler.
Joe is a yes.
Thank you. So moved.
Great. With that, then that passes. Any new business in this second meeting as a corporation?
We don't do public comment in this.
Correct. So maybe just my final comment, just again reiterating that this has honestly been, this will be my last in-person meeting, and just want to say that this has been really an honor of a lifetime to work with such an incredible group of individuals, including my co-trustees, as well as President David Leonard, and really engage in something that's meaningful to all of us, and just feels so good. So thank you very much for the privilege of doing this. I continue to engage. You'll hear my voice from afar, and welcome anybody and hosting in Singapore. I have a extra guest room with a twin bed with your name on it if you want.
But not all at once.
Right. Thank you very much. With that, I adjourn the second meeting.
Thank you. I just need to clear the room. If I could, we will be joined for our executive session by Chief of Staff Sarah Zafiris, as well as the Director of Human Resources, Judah Hamer.
Great.
And Pamela, just to confirm, those of us who are online will not be joining the executive
Correct.
session, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The Zoom will be closed down now, Jay.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave the meeting then. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just have to